everybody, this is John from Topeka Airsoft. Many of you may know me as Rabbit. Today I'm doing a video for the tech table about the basic essential tools that you need as an airsoft technician. This is going to be, I'm going to try to keep this video fairly short because I have a really long list of tools. Basically I'm just going to read off each tool and maybe give a few comments here and there on each tool. I'm not doing any specialty tools as in like air hopping tools, mainly because it's more of a specialized thing, and this is basically a video to cover the general airsofting techniques. If you have any questions on questions or comments on any of the tools I read on the list, feel free to message us on Facebook at our Topeka Airsoft page, or email us at topekaairsoft@yahoo.com. Okay, first on the list, good siren iron or gun, some good solder, and if you're lazy like me, some soldering flux. You don't necessarily need the flux, but I'm lazy and I don't want to wait for the wire to heat up for the solder to attach to the wire, so I just use flux and it works pretty good. It doesn't have to be anything fancy wise on the solder. You can use lead free if you want. You don't have to. I don't use lead free because I'm not working on piping. So usually silver core is the best. Multimeter. It's pretty much self-explanatory on that. It's basically so that you can test any kind of electrical circuits that's wrong with your airsoft gun. It helps a lot when you're trying to diagnose why it's doing what it's doing. If it's electrical, if it's firing as soon as you plug in the battery, or if it's not firing at all, it's a very, very good diagnostic tool. Wire strippers, pretty self-explanatory. Makes it really easy to clean up a wire so you can solder them or whatever. Wire cutters, pretty self-explanatory on that one too. It's basically so you can cut wire to length and everything else. And it's good, if you got heavy duty ones, you can cut stuff with it. Grease. If you don't have access to super lube, or you can't afford it or whatever, you can use wheel bearing grease, multi-purpose wheel bearing grease. That may sound terrible, but you can actually use it. I've used it in multiple guns and it works fantastic. You don't have to have super lube, but if you can't get it or for whatever reason, multi-purpose wheel bearing grease does work. A box of junk, mainly because you need a box of junk for if you break parts, or if you lose parts or whatever. Because with airsoft guns, there's a lot of teeny tiny parts. It's nice to have a box of junk. Dremel tool of some sort. It's good for doing custom work here and there. Good for if you have to modify something to work with it. Just general little small stuff. Screwdrivers, Phillips, standard flatheads, Torx, all that stuff. You have to have screwdrivers. It is essential in order to take a gearbox apart. A hammer, basically, you need it. This is in case you need a little persuasion to get the gearbox or your gun open. Not don't beat the crap out of your gun with it, but it's just there so that it's the help get it open. Allen wrenches, that kind of falls in with screwdrivers, but it's really nice to have a set of Allen wrenches, both standard and metric. Mainly, have both because airsoft guns can have both. I've seen them where they've had both. But if you have a screwdriver set that has the Allen heads on them, well, perfect, works fantastic. Nuts and bolts. Not very essential, not extremely essential, but it's nice to have. Mainly because if you need to get your gun back together and you need, like a bolt or something to hold it together and everything, it's nice to have. Heat shrink, or you can use electrical tape. I like to use heat shrink because it keeps it nice and tidy, looks a lot better. Plus, it's a pain in the ass to try to electrical tape really teeny tiny wires. Table, you need a workspace, preferably a table that you do not mind getting scratched, and neither does your significant other. It needs to be something that's, you don't care about getting beat up, but you do need a workspace. A vise, it's real nice. It rhymed. It's real nice to have, because if you don't have another person with you to help hold stuff, or if you need to hold it a certain way for to do something on it, it's real nice to have a vise. It doesn't have to be super heavy duty. It can be a little tiny one like mine. It'll work perfect. Super glue, mainly for if you break a piece, like a plastic piece or something like that, you can glue it back together. It also works good as a halfway decent thread locker if you don't have any thread lock for like a piston head or something like that. If the piston head keeps coming off, it works really. It's decent. It's not the best, but it works. Silicone spray, mainly for if you're trying to set in some O-rings, or if you're trying to get a screw to go in a little bit better or whatever. It's this to help loosen up parts and stuff. A drill and drill bits, mainly for if you need to modify something. It's real nice to have if you're trying to. Or, if you need to drill a hole that you strip the screw in, it's nice to have that. A pocket knife. It's just basically one of those universal tools. You can use it for just about almost anything. You can use it for prying stuff open. You can use it for stripping wires. You can do it for just about almost anything. It's a very, very nice universal tool. Paper towels or rag or something, just something to clean up your area with. It's it's nice to have a nice clean workspace, and if you get grease on your fingers or whatever, it's nice to be able to wipe something on your other than your pants to wipe your fingers off on. Scissors, mainly for cutting stuff. It's if you got a good heavy duty pair of scissors, you can cut wires and cut anything. It's not, you're not going to use it all the time, but it's it's another one of those things that's nice to have, because you never know when you're going to need them, and you can use them for other stuff around the house. And last but not least, pliers. Another very good universal tool. If you don't have any wrenches or sockets or anything around there, your pliers work good. You can use it to hold a nut down, or you screw something in. For holding wires or whatever, it's a good all-around tool to have. That's the whole list. Okay. So like I said, if you have any questions on any of the tools that I've mentioned in this video, just feel free to message us on our Facebook page on Topeka Airsoft, or you can email us at topekaairsoft@yahoo.com. I'm John. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Hawks Real Estate, DME Hobbies, and DB Gunsmithing, for sponsoring us. And I guess go out there and have some fun.